Today on MuscleCar, Rick puts on his go-getting britches and goes car shopping. The guys are in need of a new project to keep them busy in between Oldsmobile pieces. And wait till you see what they came up with. MuscleCar starts right now.
Hey guys, now we have been cranking out some cars around here, like Limelight. Well, she's down the road and looking for some car shows to terrorize. Dark Horse, well, she's waiting in the wings for some future upgrades because we want to see how much power we can get out of that little small block, but we're not ready to do that yet. Now Altered Ego, well, she's getting finished up over at her friend's place, Milestone Custom Paint and Body, and it won't be that long before she's pulling wheels at the track. And our Oldsmobile, well, it's a roller, but it needs a ton of man hours.
This thing is going to take a long time to build, especially considering the level we're going to carry it to. So we're hoping you guys can be patient with us on it. We're going to be coming back to it periodically to keep you guys up to speed, but we still need another project. So we decided to go with something a little closer to what you guys may be building at home.
And that means that we need to find ourselves another fresh project. Now, it's been a while since we've used the M word around here, Mopar. Now my personal favorite is 68 Dodge Charger. I would love to build one, but let's be honest, they're not exactly cheap to build.
But we got an idea. We want to build a Mopar, but we don't want to spend 20 grand on a hollowed out hull of a Cuda or Challenger. However, there are a boatload of Mopars out there that share similar advantages of their higher dollar cousins, but without the price tag. Rick, to the internet.
If you go to the usual classifieds and auction sites, these things are falling off the screen. And the best part is you can often find a real peach for under 5 grand. Well, I think I found one. We're on our way to go check out a 1974 Dodge Dart Sport. Now, just like its cousin, the Plymouth Duster, they're basically Mopar's entry-level cars. That means they're small and lightweight, so it'll be perfect for what we have planned. The Dodge Dart was conceived following the 1958 economic recession as a low-priced, compact vehicle that could compete head-to-head with the VW Beetle, Ford Falcon, and AMC Rambler. The Dart was thrown to the public in 1960, but set on a 118-inch wheelbase, it was a little large to be considered compact. By 63, the wheelbase had shrunk to 111 inches, along with a change in body styles. In 66, the D-Dart was introduced with a 275 horsepower 273 V8, which gave the Mustangs and Corvairs a real run for their money. 1967 marked the year they realized that as power increased, so did their sales numbers. The body style changed to a more angular design, which could also accommodate 7 power plant choices. In 1970, the Dart went under the knife again, and when it emerged, it had a redesigned grille, tail lamps, and reshaped rear deck. You could also get the now famous 340 engine as part of the rally package. This style remained through 76, the last year of production. There were over 4 million Darts sold between 1960 and 1976, so there's plenty of virgin Darts still out there just waiting for a little love. What's up, man? You Billy?
Hey, yep.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Came by here to check out a 74 Dart.
Yep. Sitting right here.
Cool.
Coming up, Rick goes over some of the ins and outs of project purchasing, plus a budget brake caliper rebuild that you can do at home.
Hey, welcome back, guys. We're on our way to go take a look at what could be our newest project. What's up, man? You Billy?
Hey, yep.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Came by here to check out a 74 Dart.
Yep. Sitting right here.
Cool. What can you tell me about it?
It's got a 30 over 360 in it. Dakota fast speed.
And the body looks pretty solid. Looks like a little modification for the
Yeah.
Dakota transmission.
Yep.
That's all right, 'cause we're probably going to have to end up doing something with that anyway. Where's the car from originally?
Georgia.
Georgia?
Yep. Right up next to Florida. 360, 30 over.
Hemi would be tight squeeze in there, huh?
Yeah.
Just means you need a bigger shoehorn.
Yeah.
All the seam sealer across here is all intact. I mean, seriously, this is a solid car. You can see all the edges on the trunk lid are all solid. All the way around here, this whole channel in here, you can feel is all nice and solid. Yeah, it didn't get into anything under here. The frame rails under here are really clean. There's no buckling or anything up in here. I mean, from what I can tell, this thing's never been hit. Yeah, I mean, the rockers are all clean. next project. Now granted, we're going to be swapping out pretty much all the drivetrain in this thing, but it's good to drive them anyway just to kind of get a feel for how solid the car is. If we got any rattles, if it feels like parts are going to fall off. Let you know if the suspension is tight, if the brakes are working, what's serviceable and what isn't. Whoop, reverse. I tell you, it wouldn't take much for us to make a nice little daily drive route of this thing. But we're not. The way this car is set up right now, with the shackles, the rake, the scoop, this Dart does not have an identity crisis. It knows exactly the era that it's from and it's proud of it. Now some guys think that the later Dart started getting ugly, but the way we look at it, the price starts getting pretty. Besides, you can always take that extra cash and swap out the pieces you don't like for stuff that you do. But the most important thing is, it's still a Mopar. When you're shopping around for some fresh muscle, there's a couple of things you should be sure to bring. Now this is CPI guidebook. Kind of gives you a rough idea if what you're picking up is actually worth what you're paying for it. Now according to this, a 1974 Dodge Dart Sport in fair to good condition is worth from between $3,800 to about $6,825 if it was a 6-cylinder from the factory, like this car is. There's a trim tag up under the hood, and that'll pretty much give you a rundown on everything you need to know about that car and all the equipment that it originally came with. And you can go online and look up the code numbers for pretty much anything that Dodge put on these cars back in the day. Now that's important if you're planning on doing a numbers matching restoration like a 340 Duster and you're paying good money for a car that's supposed to be numbers matching. This car, on the other hand, we already know that it was a factory 6-cylinder car and it's not matching. But that's okay, because for what we have planned, it's no big deal. Well, man, looks like you got a pretty solid car here.
4,500, you got yourself a pretty solid car.
You got yourself a deal, one condition. You got to help me load it.
All right.
Well, guys, looks like we got our next project. We'll see you back at the shop.
After the break, gutting a Dodge, the guys get busy on the Dart by pulling out some of the creature comforts and explaining just how far this project is gonna go.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Our new project, the 74 Dodge Dart Sport, is in its new home and we're ready to start picking at it. But before you can head down the road, you gotta know where you wanna wind up.
And this is our destination. We're planning on building a big, bad, loud, and nasty Mopar that's gonna draw its DNA from the heyday of the pro street movement. We're gonna tub and 4-link the rear end, make some room for a lot of rubber, hang a couple wheelie bars out the back to protect that rear bumper, and then stuff it full of a whole bunch of go fast, face melting, grandma scaring goodies. This thing's gonna be a serious beast.
And the cherry on top is gonna be a big old hole cut about right here. No old school fire breather pro street car is complete without a 3-foot blower sticking out of the hood. Something that says, yep, you don't want none.
This car is going to be pretty simple. It's going to look good, but it's not going to be some trailer queen, frame off, restored type of thing. The paint will be simple but functional, all business if you will. And that's why we're going to name this one Project Business Time.
We're still on the hunt to try to find us an old school 426 Hemi, but those things are a little hard to put your hands on. We may go with a few other options in the big block family, or heck, we may even throw in a late model Hemi. Along with the motor, we're going to upgrade the suspension, K-member, rear axle, heck, you name it.
As far as the interior goes, well, with the exception of the roll cage and the wheel tubs, obviously, we're going to try to keep the interior as close to stock as possible. I mean, I'm not even dead set against keeping the original bench seat and recovering it, or we may end up going with stock type buckets. I mean, honestly, it's kind of up in the air. But the important thing is that we don't want to lose that cool Dodge vibe.
So we can go ahead and remove the parts that we know we're going to be replacing.
Need a hand of that? I got it. One of the fun things about pulling interiors out is that you can find all kinds of stuff. Loose change, baseball cards, the possibilities are endless. Our Dodge here, on the other hand, it's been picked pretty clean. About the coolest thing I found was 23 cents. Obviously, this headline here has seen better days, but you still want to be careful with it because as bad as it looks, it can always be recovered. You can clean that off, put some new material on it, and call it good. Even if you can't use this, it'll still be good for a pattern as long as you keep it in one piece. Got it. We're way ahead of the game in regards to the floors. Now we know that we're going to have to modify the tranny tunnel quite a bit, so it doesn't have to be perfect. The floorboards are in good enough shape to make a decent start. And the back end is all right, but we're going to cut it out anyway. And now look what I just found, a factory broadcast sheet, AKA build sheet. And see, back in 1974, well, dealers didn't exactly carry 900 cars in the lot like they do now. You actually went in, sat down with a salesperson, and filled out an order form. Now that form got sent up to Detroit, where it got attached to a car, and as it went down the assembly line, all the options that you checked off, they got checked off on this and installed in the vehicle. Now most of these got thrown behind the back seat, which is right where I found this one. Now if you've got a super rare, highly optioned car, then this can add a lot of value to it. But the options on our car, well, they're kind of a different sort of rare, as in there's rarely any. I mean, cigarette lighter and air conditioning was it. But this thing is perfect for what we're gonna do, chop it up.
Stick around, Rick's got a money-saving caliper rebuild with your name on it. You're watching MuscleCar. For a DVD copy of this episode, just go to PowerBlockTV.com and order your copy for just $5.95 plus shipping and handling. Start your own MuscleCar collection, delivered right to your door from the PowerBlock.
Hey guys, you know the old saying, if you want something done right, you better do it yourself. Well, doing it yourself can save you a nice little stack of change too. If you're anything like me, unless you're doing upgrades, you'd rather keep the original parts on your car. Well, buck up campers, because I'm going to show you guys how simple it is to rebuild these things. Now GM used the same caliper for a better part of 15 years on a bunch of different cars, and rebuild kits ran us $4.74 a piece. Toss in another 16 bucks for a brake hone, and that's about it. Now, Part Store is going to run you 50 bucks a piece for these things. That's $100 for a pair, versus about 26 bucks to rebuild them. I know which one I'm going to choose.
Build on a budget. MuscleCar projects that save you time and money.
The GM didn't paint these calipers, so it didn't take long for them to turn into a couple of rust wads. A quick blast is a good place to start for a rebuild. Would you look at that? Just look at it. They look like brand new now, but the first problem you're going to run into when you try to rebuild these things is how do you grab a hold of that piston. Make sure you wear safety glasses and cover this thing up with at least a couple of rags, because what you're going to do is put air pressure to where the brake fluid would normally come in and cover this thing up. Do not put your fingers down in between there, because that thing's going to come out of there with a lot of pressure, and if your fingers are in there when it comes out, it's going to hurt. There it is. Now, the first thing you want to do is inspect the sides of the piston here. And once you've got all the major components out of the way, take a look at the inside of it. The only thing you really want to be careful of is if there's pitting in there big enough to hang up that piston. Now, there's really only two things that can go wrong with a caliper. Either that O-ring goes bad and it starts leaking so you lose the pressure, or the inside of that bore starts getting corrosion on it and hangs up your piston, then you get a hung caliper. But really, that's about all that goes wrong. What I'm doing here is I'm cleaning out the groove with that little O-ring seats, because if there's any damage around inside of there, then that'll allow pressure and brake fluid to leak past it. Now, you may notice that I am using a brand new product that Safety Clean just came out with, and it's designed to evaporate slower than some of the carburetor cleaners, but a little bit faster than some of the brake cleaners. And once you get the hone set in place there, you want to spin this knob here, because that adjusts the little feet coming out, and you want it to have just a little bit of light pressure on it. You don't want it to be digging into it. Now, just like with any honing stone, you want a little bit of lubricant in there. So just throw a little WD-40. Would you look at that? Just look at it. Now we can start putting this thing back together. There's a little rib right on the inside edge there. That little rib right there needs to seat on that rib right there. And that's what helps keep all the dust and debris and stuff out. It'll be a little bit sticky getting past that seal. Now, if you're going for a stock restoration, you can leave this thing exactly as it is. Maybe just clean some of the grease off. And that's pretty much how they put them on the cars when they were brand new. But if you don't really want a chunk of rust in 6 months underneath your car, then seal it up. Duplicolor makes a paint that's specifically designed for calipers. It's ceramic base, so it holds up to high heat and all the abuse that these poor things go through. The kit comes with a can of cleaner. Use it. Now this paint goes down in one coat and dries pretty quick, so you'll be ready to install it in no time. And that's about it. You end up with a good caliper, rebuilt, you know what's in it, and it's still an original GM piece. Plus it's easy to do. Just pay attention to the details and take your time. On a little side note, this would make a great first-time father-son project, or even a father-daughter project, either way. And the $75 that you save over buying rebuilt ones from the store, you can put it into something else in your car. If you guys have any questions about anything on the show today, you can check it all out at PowerBlockTV.com. But for this week, we're out of time. So until next time, we're out of here.